I deal, they, every year they call, but technically, it's not, I don't know.
Well, and that's one eighty. Sorry, not 82, it's a turbo, maybe 4.
That's the new values. Okay.
It's like probably that's not.
Yeah, sure. But 180.
So.
That's an improvement.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Homeboys up here?
No, Ruben's just he texted me, he said he can't make it and meet with his boss. All right, let's call this meeting to order. This will be a special commissioners meeting of July 29th, 2025. There's a few items on the agenda specifically related to the budget workshop. If you'll all rise for the invocation, please. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your blessings, Lord. We ask for strength and wisdom as we go about the people's business. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, good morning, all. Public comment this morning. Compliments to the judge, criticisms to Jim Westerman.
All right.
I pass it around. Notice that nobody ever gets the compliment side of it. Okay, I'm gonna save the budget for last. Let's burn through the other agenda items real quick. So we can move on to budget because that's gonna be our most talked about item. So let's skip number 5 for right now and go to number 6. This is to review, discuss, and take action regarding the interlocal agreement between Brewster County and Alpine ISD to provide school resource officers. This is an annual agreement that we do. As you guys know, we provide SRO, school resource officers to the AISD at basically at cost, but they reimburse us for salaries,
Sorry.
and all cost of providing security for the 3 schools, 3 campuses.
We provide the vehicles.
It's our vehicles, our guys, our trained guys, they all work under the sheriff's office. They're all deputies. They all can do everything that every other deputy can do, from write a ticket to arrest somebody, but they're at the schools every day. Sheriff, Michelle said they said they haven't been doing a lot of deputy accompaniment with sporting events, but she's happy to pay the fuel when they do.
Okay.
She said that apparently that's a lot of the schools now are beefing up their security so they feel better about it when they get there. But I said, as long as we get our fuel covered when we go to the events.
And it's just you at football games and playoff games. And whether it be volleyball, basketball, or whatever.
So I just need a motion to renew this interlocal agreement.
I move.
I'll second.
A motion and second discussion. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Number 7 is review, discuss, and take all possible action to approve a professional service agreement between Brewster County Tax Assessor and Betty Jo Rooney. We used to have that title. And this is just a routine professional agreement. Every year, Betty Jo helps Sylvia with the tax calculations, and you got my email already, right? I emailed her yesterday. So you think I'll have it by Friday?
Yeah, I already talked to Melinda.
We just chatted. We'll get that as soon as we get out.
Well, I mean, you got till August 1st by law, and then reasonably afterwards. Reasonably would be like Friday at 5, but that's okay. So we just need to, so this is just a little thing.
I move we approve the professional services agreement between the county and Betty Jo Rooney.
I'll second.
Motion in a second, and that's for a total of $5 a year, right?
I think so.
Budget's tight, Betty Jo. Budget is tight. All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, lastly, review and discuss and take action to approve LexisNexis contract for Brewster County Attorney's Office. So the county attorney, the sheriff's office, both use LexisNexis, which is the online research for legal needs. The sheriff has a little different. He uses it for checking criminal backgrounds and things like that. The county and providing a online digital library for the inmates, which is by law we have to provide. We don't have to do a books, but we have to provide them a law library. And then for the county attorney, she has a different module for her to do research and so forth on case law. And this is just a renewal of that contract. I tried to get the contracts consolidated into one, so we just have one contract, but they don't operate that way. So if I do it in one contract, then sheriff would have stuff he would never use, but would have to pay for it. And the county attorney would have stuff she didn't need that she would have to pay for. So it made no sense to do this. So we're going to end up with two LexisNexis contracts, one for the county and one for the sheriff. It's $200. Was it $208 a month?
208.
And so I just need approval for this contract. I don't know when your contract comes up, but
I'll reach it.
yeah.
Is the increase from year to year just inflation based?
Yeah, they, of course, like all software, they've come up with a new, more sophisticated version. The platform that they're on now goes away, and this is the new fancy dancy one. So yes, that's the answer. So it went up from one, not one.
What was from 208, 219, 230?
Yeah, right. Oh, you mean over the next couple of years?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, there is a 1-year clause out that I'm gonna get that says each year we get to renew it. So we're not making a commitment beyond 1 year. So if we don't like the 219 next year, we can cancel it.
I move to approve the contract with LexisNexis for the Brewster County Attorney's Office.
All right, second motion and a second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All right. Thank you all. All right, let's go back to number 5, which is the budget. Let me just frame what you have in front of you. On the first tab, you have the updated worksheet that we've been working on since the last meeting. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then the second tab is sort of a summary. The tabs aren't labeled, but go to the second tab. This is a summary of pretty much what we're going to spend the day talking about the deficit and how we can fill that deficit in. Then there's some projections. We actually went ahead and took the current tax rate from right now, did some kind of early projections. I'm hoping you can improve on that. And and then lastly, sort of a history of our taxable values, our market values, and how we collected over the years our money. So that just kind of gets started. Let me start by saying on the revenue side, on the first tab, if you'll look at the very first page of the first tab, if you'll go down to almost to the end of the page, there's something called U.S. Marshals Federal Prisoner. It's account number 14240 4244. I had $200,000 in there, and the sheriff made me a very convincing argument that we're already well or right at that already and going to be above that. So I increased that from $200,000 to $350,000, and it made a difference. And we'll get back to that in a second in our budget. That actually took us into a small surplus before we apply the payroll and contingency. Well, I'll come back to. Sheriff, you want to tell us a little bit about why you think the Fed prisoners are going to be all right this next year?
Okay, when the judge told me we were at $180,000, I was like, well, I've signed more invoices than 180,000. So we went back yesterday and we're in billing at 329,000. There's a new head marshal here, and he didn't realize how many beds we were going to provide him. He's been keeping us at 20. Well, 20, if he keeps us at 20, he told me today that he wants to increase me to 30, which is a big jump because it's 20 is is $1,640 a day. So we haven't collected for July, or of course we haven't got August and September. But even if we stay at what we're at, we're going to be at 480,000 plus for the jail. If he does what he says he can, of course, it fluctuates. So if we can stay between 20 and 30, we can look between 600,000 and 864,000 a year. So we're pushing to keep that 30 number because it'll really move us up. He wasn't aware that we could hold that many. He thought we were full of state prisoners. But, of course, he's got to deal with the sheriff next door and the sheriff up there, everybody trying to keep federal prisoners because they all want them. They're very profitable for the counties. So right now we're at 329,000. If we stay at 20, say he doesn't give me 10, but he's working on bringing me 10. I told him we would go get them, wherever they're at, we'll go get them and bring them here. But if he keeps us that, we'll probably end up around 480, and in reality, probably closer to 500,000 because sometimes we have 23, 24. And so it looks, I don't know why the judge had me at 180, but I was like, oh my God, I knew I'd signed more than that. So, but anyway, I think that's will help a lot. And if we can keep that number above 20, 25 to 30, we'll be in between the 600 and $864,000 range next year.
So I think it's a compelling case that for 350 would be a good number. It's probably even conservative based on what he said, but
Right.
it's a good number. And if the court, when we get back into the weeds here in a minute, if we feel like we need to push that a little bit, probably could push it to.
I would push it to 400,000.
Yeah.
That was what, because that will keep us at a good number.
No, when I came into office, it was 750. We were doing the Ector County and we were making some bucks on that, but Ector County figured out their jail problem and all of a sudden that went away. And it is like this.
Yeah.
So first year it was 750, so we cut it back to 500, and then I got to looking at the numbers. It's like, well, they only did 183 this year, so let's make it 200, and then today.
Pecos County, we were only charging them $65 a day, and so they got a new jail administrator. We'd made $81,180 off Pecos County, and they got a new jail administrator, and she said that we were too high. Anyway, so she abandoned us and went to a jail that they're charging $80 a day. So I said, well, I don't make no difference, and it's further away. So now they've been calling, well, maybe yeah, maybe you did. So
we get 82 a day, right? Or 80.
We get 80 a day on feds and 65 on states.
Are we back in the good graces of the feds as far as the jail standards go?
Yes, they the new marshal and them. Yeah, as far as jail standards, jail standards doesn't recommend housing feds. I mean, that's because you gotta count them in your numbers. And Jose's done an excellent job of keeping that the jail commission happy on our feds. The feds come in, they do their own inspection. It's different from ours. They required some special things, and I told them, I said, well, we're not going to do that. They wanted us to pay for an audit every year, and the audit was pretty close to 200,000 itself. And I said, well, then y'all can find someplace else. But they like us here because we're so close to the federal building, and they can do their magistrations in the morning. They don't have to see right now. Some of them are having to drive all the way to Sierra Blanca, 4 o'clock in the morning to get back here to be ready for federal court. And so the agents, not the marshals, but NEA, Border Patrol, FBI, everybody wants them closer. So their pressure put on them made it happen for us.
So you think the jail standards for the feds, they'll come in and kind of accept, we're doing really well on the state side, they'll take that.
Oh yeah, they like well, all prisoners when the jail standards come in, are all equal. They just say, when they go inspect a jail, 500-bed jail, they say it's a nightmare, and that we don't want to get involved in a nightmare. Well, I'll never be a 500-bed jail, so I just want to make what we can make.
How many beds do you have?
54.
So is there a priority, like, do you ever turn anybody away? Have you ever had that situation?
Yeah, you're talking about, yeah, we'll turn away, like state prisoners, what we do, and I have a meeting with every new officer that comes into the community. And we have a form you check in when you come into the jail. And if you're suicidal, if you're been beat up, if you've been hit in the head, we're not going to let you in until a doctor clears you. The county jails across Texas seem to be the place to dump the mentally ill. And we don't do mentally ill. And it's easier to get a crazy man off the train and just put him in jail because they don't have to mess with it no more, because the mental health is a troublesome thing to do to get them, they got to go before the judge, they got to do all kinds of stuff. And, it's very time consuming. And if, say they pick somebody up at midnight and the judge is not going to come see them till 8 in the morning, they got to babysit that person at the hospital the whole night. And, that nobody wants to do that. So they dump them on the jail. But we meet them outside and they do an evaluation. And if they doesn't meet any of those criteria, then they can't come in.
Well, do you have a priority as to whether a federal prisoner or?
Yeah, state prisoners take priority all the time. Yeah, they take priority because we got to have space for them. We're obligated by law to
Okay.
keep state prisoners. The other one is just icing on the cake. But, right now we don't have that many states. We never have that many states. They make bond, they get out, so they don't stay very long, and we make no money off them.
Yeah, we arrest them or DPS arrest them, we make nothing off that person.
You have 30, I mean, you said you had 30 fed beds. And if you had 35 feds for some reason, can you go over that? Because
Yes, I could go up. I told them I'll take 40, but 40 is a very good, and we could have that, because that leaves us 14 state beds, and, most of the time we have 5 to 6 states inside.
Okay.
So.
No county prisoners, because everyone is a good citizen, right?
I take the 5th on that one.
So, all right, well, I got the sheriff up there. Y'all go to the 3rd tab in your book. And it's got some to do with the leases. I'm gonna come back to this, but so if he doesn't have to stay here and listen to us talk about the budget, unless he's just dying to. So I've kind of come full circle on the leases. Last time we talked, it was like, well, let's just pay cash, but given the deficit and I guard the savings accounts like the kingdom, because that's the money we need for rainy days, equipment. Spending money out of savings for operating costs really bothers me. It's the old banker in me funding operating losses. So I'm back to leases. One of the things that's in your package today is discussing about leases. So what's happening is the vehicles down south particularly are just not holding up to the wear and tear of the roads. So sheriff needs to replace those vehicles in the coming year. And his recommendation is going with the Toyota Tundras, which have proven to be
Very reliable.
and they hold a resale value. I always take that with a grain of salt. Cars never hold their resale value. And they don't when I go to trade one in, they always seem to depreciate rapidly. But
should bought Toyota.
I'm sorry, I didn't buy a Tundra, I'm on a Suburban. The question really comes about, and we'll come back to this, is that we would put this in the budget as lease payments at anywhere from $57,000 to $67,000 a year. The real issue that's going to come about is one of the Tundras is priced a little higher because it's got some bed covers on it.
We put one of the Tundras with bed covers because it's our deputy down south that is a SWAT team member, and they have to carry their gear with them all the time. And we put a sliding toolbox that goes under the bed cover for him to keep his gear in.
So at the end of the day, these are nothing but basically the best way to look at these leases is that if you went down to the bank, borrowed money, these are equity leases. They're frankly, they're a loan disguised as a lease, in my particular opinion. They'll be fully paid off in 3 to 4 years, depending on the length of time we decide to do. We'll own the vehicles, we'll trade them in, take the equity from whatever we get out of those vehicles and buy more vehicles. The idea would be every year we're continuing to replace 1 or 2 vehicles so that we don't get into that trap of, well, we got 10 vehicles now and they all need to be replaced. We are having some difficulties, particularly down south with the Tahoes and the Chevrolets.
Well, what we have 4 Tahoes right now with under 50,000 miles on them in the shop. We've had one in Fort Stockton for 3.5 years, and they eventually, I think they're just going to have to put a new engine in it, and it has like 28,000 miles on it. And then we have 3 in El Paso right now with transmission problems.
Or they overheat.
I guess they quit.
I know there's a lot of idling time.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of sitting on the side of the road time, but
Lost the transmission.
yeah, Lieutenant Roach is last week pulled up there in Marathon to the railroad crossing, and it wouldn't go, just spin and holler and scream no matter what gear you put it in, and we had to tow it to here, and now it's in El Paso.
The issue about 3, so I've got a 3 years and 4 years. We can come back and talk about that. We're thinking maybe a 3-year lease for the southern county. The northern county can go probably on a 4-year lease, but on the southern county, there's kind of a uncertainty, but somewhere they're putting between 25 and 40,000 miles a year on those vehicles. So in 3 years, you're going to be sitting at at least 100, if not over 100, time to move them on out. The other thing about it, one of the things I looked at several leasing companies. Enterprise really wants to be our fleet manager. That's kind of what they're angling for, is that they'll keep us abreast. Hey, it's time to sell the Tundras. The markets, that they're attuned to the market because they're such a huge buyer of cars. They can get us and already have gotten us the discounts because they negotiate directly with the manufacturers. So there's some advantages there to maybe putting us under a fleet program. So keep that in mind when we get back to it. I just wanted y'all to be aware of it. Anything else you want to say about Tundras? Or
No, I mean, we have one Tundra that I had before, and it's probably at 140,000 miles, and it has yet to be in the shop.
good.
I mean, they're going to get dings on them from doors and stuff like that, but the motors and the drivetrain on them seem to be much better than anything we've had.
What does it cost? This didn't count in your radios and equipment you got to put in there, right?
No, and we're gonna try to use some of the stuff that we have in the other vehicles to transfer them out because the radios are brand new. We're not trying to, so we're going to do some there. I think they will outfit some lights on them, right? They're going to outfit the lights and stuff on them, but the radios and stuff will transfer out.
These prices include everything except the radios. So
They'll be outfitted when they
now
get
what
here.
happens is they'll send the parts to David Lewis, the truck to David Lewis, and they'll build that into the package. They won't put it in, David will do it, because he knows how to do it.
Yes. And the thing about Toyotas, most of the stuff have to go behind the seat instead of under the seat. So he's already had some experience with that on 2 of them that we've done.
So basically with the Toyotas, you're just feeding it gas and tires?
Yes, us will.
Yeah.
So we would hold on to that thought. We'll come back to it when we get to the actual numbers.
Okay.
Anything else for the sheriff? Good. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Okay. All right. If you guys go to the second tab, this is sort of worksheet discussion items. Let me work you through the numbers here because there are a lot of them. So after the increase in the federal inmate population, our revenues have gone to $9,074,000 with a projected expense of $8.9 million, leaving a surplus, interestingly enough, without a payroll increase of $97,843. Julie, Melinda, and Patty did a really detailed analysis of our payroll. Our payroll is frankly like an octopus.
Yeah.
It is unbelievably complicated because we have all this money coming in from different funds like SB 22 and so forth. But we think we've got it. I mean, my worry was we were overshooting the payroll. We were budgeting too high. As it turned out, we were in some instances. And as a result, the sheriff gave up 2 positions in his department, one in the jail and one in his department in the sheriff's office. Plus we cut overtime from 70 to 50, and we cut fuel budget from 140 to 120. All of that, of course, horse traded him a little bit for some Tundras.
I see he has 4 now instead of 3.
Yes. So,
Nice.
But I mean, I think we appreciate that we cut 2 positions out of road and bridge that were open. And I say cut them, we didn't lay anybody off. We just simply eliminated the position, okay? So, and he didn't do anything. Plus, he was able to use some SB 22 money to give a couple of guys some raises that really deserved it. So we think we've got the payroll surrounded. And so if you keep moving on down the line, that little 10,700 is a minor adjustment because those 4 positions that are open, they have to wait 90 days before we fund the health insurance. So that saves us a little money. I added back in the sheriff's leases at the highest number, which is 67,000. Okay. We can come back and talk about that in a second. That gets us an adjusted surplus of 41,000. Now we're cooking along pretty good here, but now we've got the payroll. So after doing a full analysis of the payroll with a 5% increase for the employees of Brewster County, and this includes elected officials as of right now. It does not include me, but includes all the elected officials. That cost of that is 208,000. That's payroll and benefits. Okay, it's all in. Takes us to a deficit of 167. I really this year would like to see us put a contingency line in, a reserve item. I've thrown 150 in there to start with as an opening bid because I'd like to have that money set aside so that when something pops up in the middle of the year, it'll be a real easy fix. We just do a line item adjustment, boom. And we don't have to run around and do budget amendments and all that. I'd love to have that number even bigger, quite frankly, but let's start with that. Gives us adjusted deficit of 317,000. So the question is, how can we fix that? And so here are your options. And these are just some options. None of them are in stone. We can increase the collection rate. So we can increase our collection rate from 93% to 96%. And we've been pretty good overall at our collections. So we can be a little bit optimistic in our collection rate, kick that up a little bit. That'll generate a couple of $100,000. We can increase the M&O rate above the voter approval rate by a penny. And I think that number is a little high now that I look at it, but with the 96% collection rate, that'll generate a pretty good chunk of money. The problem with that is once we go above the voter approval rate, then we run the risk of a petition. Okay. So you guys know there's 3 levels. There's no new revenue. We're not going to be there. Then there's a voter, whoever came up with these names, by the way.
And they keep changing
Need to
them
be taken
too.
out and shot. All right. The second name is voter approval rate, which sounds like you got to have voter approval to do it, but you don't. And that's only limited to a 3.5% increase. So that just gives us a little bit more money each year. And then there's the de minimis rate, which raises at least $500,000. And you can go between those voter approval rate and de minimis rates and not trigger an election. You will trigger a potential petition, which could end up in an election. If you end up in an election and you are voted down, you got to go all the way back to the voter approval, to the no new revenue rate. So there's a penalty.
And you have to pay for an election.
Now, having said that, we do have some room because we have this LATCPF as our backup. I think we can get to this deficit clearing without having to do that above the voter approval rate, but you need to know that it's an option. And but the petition is 90 days, 3% of the registered voters in 90 days. And if that is successful and that petition is valid, then it triggers an election. Look, I pay taxes like everybody else, and I hate writing those checks in December. But I got to tell you, 34 cents a hundred for property taxes in Brewster County compared to counties around us is pretty damn cheap. I mean, I'll just say that on record now. Do I like writing another $500? No. But 34 cents, I'm looking at my Real County taxes. My Real County taxes for our place in Lakey is 47 cents a hundred. So, I mean, we're cheap. But we'll come back to that when we get to the tax rate calculation. I'm optimistic that we're gonna find some, and we're gonna run through that tax rate calculation with a fine tooth comb and make sure we've got every indigent care, because indigent defense helps us. Railroad rolling stock helps us. But if you go back to the third tab, and I'm not gonna belabor it, economic, I mean, it just jumps out at the page at me about how important economic development is to our community. Because we ain't growing. We flat ain't growing. And we lost $207 million in value because of the acquisition of that ranch by the GLO. So I can't solve that problem overnight, nor none of us can, but growth, smart growth. Not wild growth. I mean, I went to Rockwall last weekend and that's wild growth. Okay, can't even move on your farm roads because there's so many people. You can't even pull out because it takes an hour to get out on the farm road. So I'm not talking about that, but guys, economic growth is so important, but that has nothing to do with this budget. It's really sad to watch our values be flat. We don't have hardly any new values coming in. All right, keep moving on down the road. You could do a couple of things. You could kill the elected officials raises. That's 33,000.
Be careful how you phrase things.
You just kill the elected officials.
Kill the elected officials raises, not the officials.
It's a nice pause in there, though.
You could save $33,000 that. You could also move your raises effective January 1st instead of October 1st. Start them on the calendar year. That's a little bit of a savings of $52,000. We've already done the reproject of the inmate revenue, so that's already in there, so you can ignore that. And then last but not least is, what do you want to take out of savings? What do you want to reach back and take out of your savings? So you've got your LATCF. We've got $2 million in LATCF funds. We know that we've earmarked tentatively $500,000 for the dormitory project in South County.
Great.
So we've got basically $1.5 million. We really need to talk about road and bridge.
Yes.
Our road and bridge is suffering in many ways. One of it's lack of funding, where we're just kind of churning cash, but we're not. So the problem with this is, and I struggle with it, is, okay, it's a Band-Aid, it's a fix, but you've got about 2 years of that, and then you're out of money. Okay, now you're dipping back into your surplus. And that's not a way to run a business, in my opinion. So, but to get us through this year, and I'd like to fund something in the road and bridge, give them a little kitty to do things, and $250,000, and I just pulled that number out of the air, but $250,000 will buy a load of gravel. I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, I thought the sheriff was expensive, but road bridges also. But in my mind, our mandates are two things in the county, primarily maintain our roads and good law enforcement.
Yep.
Everything else is keeping the tax assessor records good, county clerk and all that, but in my mind, that's what citizens want. Decent roads and a sheriff when you call them. So, I don't know why I got off on that preachy thing, but that's kind of, anyway, how do you guys want to roll? I guess what I'm looking for, I can get this balance. I'm looking for direction and how you want me to proceed. I think there's a couple of things we need to talk about. Leases. Where do you want to get your deficit from? Honestly, we have whacked, somebody told me to quit using that word too, whacked the budget to the point where any positions that vacate during the year that need to be refilled, really, they're going to come through here. And I told the sheriff, I mean, essential positions, we're going to refill. But we need to look at things when they vacate to see if we want to leave that position open or leave it vacant. Big ticket items, CapEx is gone. So any CapEx expenditures, one of the reasons I have a contingency is I want to, if Sarah Martinez over there has something she has to have, like a new software program, she can come here and make a presentation and we'll have a contingency to look at it. So you can count pencils and pens and paper clips only so much. And at the end of the day, it's all in labor. It's all in labor. I mean, the rest of the budget is minuscule compared to the labor costs.
Are there any non-value added labor positions that, I mean, it's cut pretty thin right now, right?
Bell County judge, get rid of that.
The non-value added labor? No, I mean, I think it's pretty skinny now.
Yeah.
Look, everybody's working their butts off, doing a great job. I think we Road and Bridge, Ruben, last meeting said he'd take the hit on 2 positions. Sheriff's taking the hit on 2 positions. Could we lean it down a little bit more? Yeah, JP1 has agreed to take one of his positions back to part-time. Particularly until we can see how his revenue looks now. If it really gens some revenue for us, then it might make sense to bring that back to full-time. But so everybody's, you're right, we're lean. I think we're lean.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be able to tell the taxpayers that we did everything we could to lean this thing down. Are we perfect? No. Do we have some inefficiencies in the system? Yeah, Lord help us, we do. And Melinda and I and Julie, see it every day in terms of looking at the numbers. So this year could be an adjustment year, shall we say, in terms of how we look at numbers and POs and invoices and things like that. And I know that's not going to be easy because it's a little bit of a change, but I think with how we've got it set up, we've kind of done what we need to do. But I'm open to ideas. Maybe Sarah could take a big pay cut.
Have we considered the possibility of doing some certificates of obligation for some of the road and bridge
Yes.
infrastructure type stuff?
Yeah, it's a discussion for the fall. 2 reasons. I mean, just on the perfect world, just off the top of my head, I'd like to go borrow $2.5 million and jam it into road and bridge for a specific road improvement project, which would probably be Terlingo Ranch Road. That'd probably burn all of it right there. And pick 2 or 3 other roads that you really want to chip seal and do right. The problem is we got to get our audits done. And number 2, because we can't go to the market without our audits. So, by the way, we'll have those done in November. And then don't forget, we've got to borrow some money for these visitor centers. And we'll pledge ad valorem taxes on that. So I got to make sure my debt load doesn't get too wild, because I'm gonna probably end up probably a couple of million in the visitor center project. Having said that, there is no reason where our debt load is small.
Yes.
For a county our size. So we've got some room to borrow money, which is going to go straight to INS, which doesn't hit our tax rate. It hits our tax rate, but doesn't require. Yeah. What I don't want to do though is borrow into our deficits. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And a lot of cities and counties have done that. They've borrowed into their deficit, and that's a no bueno for me. I mean, we're very blessed to have not only $2 million in LATCF funds, but we've got a surplus of somewhere around $3.5 million. But
Yes.
you'd never want a Kerrville to happen to your county, but look at Kerrville right now. Their entire water treatment plant's down. They're on stage 4 rationing for their water. I mean, so having
All the roads and bridges are gone.
having $3.5 million sounds like a lot of money. We burned that up in about 2 days, paying for overtime for sheriff's deputies, and so it's a warm and fuzzy to have that kind of cash laying around for me. The tendency is, of course, to spend it, but anyway, that's where we are. So I'm looking for ideas on how y'all want me to work this budget to zero.
This isn't really helpful in this exact moment, but I do think we need to make a stronger push to our representatives at the state to increase the payment in lieu of taxes from the state for.
Couldn't agree more. We got a lot of state property.
State park. 'cause they're really not carrying their weight.
No, so we
They
got,
don't pay.
we got Black Gap, we got Elephant, we got part of the state park, and now we got 300,000 acres sitting over on the east side of the county. So it's a fair, and we get $4,000 a year from the state.
That's a joke.
Yeah. So I think that could be a legislative priority in the next legislative session. Now's the time to start.
Is it worth looking at whether a lot of the ranches really are qualified for the ag exemption?
Well, when you start looking at, okay, how do we fix this problem? All right, so we count paper clips. All right, we got that one down.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so revenue, right? And so how do we get revenue? Well, all right, we can do bake sales and car washes. All right, that works for a little while.
Mhm.
And then, where else are we gonna get revenue? Well, the only way I know to get revenue is to be aggressive on our tax collection.
Right.
I mean, in the right way, not in the wrong way, but in the right way. You haven't paid your taxes in 5 years? I'm sorry, we're gonna put your land up for sale.
Yeah.
I struggle with the concept that we would have people that were 5 years past due on their taxes. I don't like paying taxes again.
Mhm.
And I've even thought about not paying my taxes to see how long it would take before y'all would foreclose on my house. Cause I might be able to go 7 years before y'all we ever woke up out of the sleep. So that's number one.
Yeah.
How do we squeeze more money out of, well, we can certainly go after rate. We can go above the voter approval rate.
That's the one you have here.
Yeah,
You know.
and we can certainly take that route. Not gonna be particularly popular.
Yeah.
How else do we bring revenue in? Jail, it certainly helps.
Yeah.
But there's just not, a lot of, we don't have any proprietary funds like the city does. The city they sell water, they sell gas, they sell trash. And so we don't have that luxury in county. And so, I like it. We're a low tax county. I think it's a great thing, but there may be a time where we've got to say, hey, we've got to have a couple more pennies. The beauty of that, if you did do a penny, and I'm proposing a penny, it's not a lot. If you did a penny, you start there the next year.
Yes. Affects the calculations.
So it does help us a little bit.
How much additional revenue would that bring?
For every penny it brings in, depending on the collection rate, at a 93% collection rate, it brings in $136,000 at 93. At 96, it brings in about 150. So, I don't know that it's worth $150,000 to get everybody just matter in hell about it. They're already perceiving their rate. Effectively values are going up. And so taxes do go up a little bit. They don't go up as much as they would if we hit the value and the rate. So, Jim, creating more efficiencies in the system as much as we can, and that's just really chasing revenue. A little stuff like getting the phone bill down from $8,000 a month to $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
Helps.
Right.
But in the scheme of things, it's people, is your call. In my mind, we did the right thing on reducing our healthcare costs this year. We're gonna have to address, it's the elephant in the room, we're gonna have to address the retiree thing at some point. Not the current retirees, but going forward. Because that's a $300,000 hit to our budget right now. You balanced it right there. So, not throwing the retirees under the bus, I'm just saying that you gotta look at all options.
Sure.
Anybody got any other ideas for revenue generation?
Raise the rent on the tourism council?
Well, this is gonna go over like a lead balloon, to my tourism colleagues in South County. But I gotta tell you, we got $4 million in cash, generate $2.4 million in tourism revenue. It's our oil and gas.
It is.
Give me $500,000 of that and let me put it into the general fund to help fund the operations of the county, which I used to not feel this way, but the argument is our tourists are using it.
Right.
They're using county resources.
Hell yeah.
They're emptying their trash, they're using our roads, I love them.
Yeah.
I want more tourism,
Well, that's all we have.
but, so there's another one, there's a question for the legislature. Do we need to go back to the legislature and say next year or 2 years? And say, hey, we're a little different than a lot of these tourism counties. Us and the Alamo are the two big tourism attractions of the state. Well, San Antonio's got tourism money in spades, right? They generate so much sales tax off that river walk. We don't generate, but 750,000 of our sales tax comes from South County. Not much. Most of what's generated in South County is hotel taxes, which is locked up for more promotion of more
hotels.
tourism. Anyway, I'm gonna be wildly unpopular by saying that, but it is an option. But that's down the road.
Yeah, it doesn't help us today,
Yeah.
maybe next year.
No.
And I'm gonna ask a question about appraisals. I guess I'm just kind of wondering, what would be the cost benefit if all of the taxing entities chipped in a little bit more on their appraisal district contribution to get another body in that office that really would be able to go out and look at what is the value, I was driving up from Terlingua this morning. I'm not kidding, 5 fully loaded McCoy's trucks headed south. Not sure where they're going, but they were headed south.
No, we've talked to that. I told them,
It's that new construction and increase in building.
I've told the appraisal district, we would support the addition of actually 2 more people.
Yeah.
To do nothing but grind through.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
We need to, or
I've
that
said
office
it-
needs to.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. The fact that there are so many properties that are not on the tax roll just leaves the rest of us who are on the tax roll holding the bag
Yeah.
for the tax burden. And I know there are gorgeous houses out there that have been out there for 20 years that are not on the tax roll. And it's ridiculous. And we don't have building permits, and I'm not saying we should bring in building permits, but that was one of the arguments was at least we would catch some of the new construction.
Mhm.
Even if it was just a $5 permit.
And but it's not just the ones that are not on the rolls at all, it's the ones that have, gone in, okay, so assume it's a homestead, you can only go up 10% per year unless it's additions to the property and improvements to the property. And I think that's a huge piece that we're not catching. There are people going in and doing major renovations to houses that it's not getting caught for years.
I agree with you. And I think that's another revenue source is not only going after the collections, but making sure the values are fair, but they're equitable across the board.
But they built something in Del Rio, and the county has a building permit, was $100. And basically they just went out and did just what Ms. Columbus said was, look at that, and they added it to the tax roll. I mean, it was that simple, the $100 paid for.
So the county charged you $100.
Yeah.
So I think we need to look at, there may be some opportunities to do some of that. Same thing with our septic tank issue.
I flew over Columbia Ranch the other day, and I can't tell you how many homes are out there now. I mean, over the last 25 years, there's just.
Oh, it's
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Airbnbs are everywhere.
used to drive 118 in the morning and not have a stick of traffic. You can't do it anymore without passing 20 people.
You used to be able to look over Big Bend Valley and see one house, and now you can't count them all.
No, I noticed this morning there was stuff built, and I haven't really driven that road in probably about 5 years. But there's stuff built back up in the hills, back to the side of the valley.
Well, Melinda, I like your idea of put in some more money to the CAD so we can. The other entities-
I run those numbers. Yeah, I haven't run those numbers, but my gut feel is it has the potential to pay off from a
Does.
cost benefit standpoint.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does. And-
Val Verde County, right?
Yes.
And, but the other entity is mainly the school district will dig their heels in and they think they paid for the whole thing anyway. But they'll benefit from it in the long run.
Mhm.
just like all of them.
Because, and it also I think it would help the school district with some of the argument that they get from the state that, hey, you're not showing the true value of some of these, and so therefore it's affecting their state funding. So
It is.
maybe there could be a little bit of a benefit to them.
There's no doubt that, I mean, and they're digging themselves out of a hole at the appraisal district. You can see it clearly, no doubt they need at least two more, in my mind, at least a couple of people who are doing nothing with value. One of them focusing on South County. I think we all have a certain amount of cynical viewpoint of government. Don't want government, don't like government, don't want government looking into our businesses. But we do have, as the people, we have to fund the government. I gotta know that we're doing everything we can in this county to not be a fat, lazy government. We're an efficient, finely tuned machine as much as we can be. We're not perfect, but we can be exceptional. That's to me important, that we keep our place looking nice. We take care of our taxpayers. We provide the services on a prompt basis. We don't waste money. It's not, again, not a perfect science, but that way I can say to the taxpayers, look, we boiled it out. We still need money, but we boiled out the inefficiencies.
And Judge, I'm like you, I don't like paying taxes, but I do realize that if I'm gonna call Sheriff Dodson and somebody's gonna answer, we gotta pay for it. Citizens have to pay for it. Just like there's some Republic of Texas type people that don't want anything, but when their road has got potholes in it, who do they holler at? Then they want services, but they don't want to pay for it. There's a lot of that. That doesn't solve any problems.
No.
That's part of what we're facing. I know Sarah sees it a lot down south.
I mean, next year we're faced with an EMS issue. Yes, sir.
Just a thought, given the tax base is always an issue, I've not been on the county board for some time. But I know when I was on the board, we had drones were off working. Does it make sense to get all the taxing entities together with the CAB board and with Jake to kind of say, here's where we're at, here's where we're going, have the dialogue so we all come together, because right now, the city's gonna face some issues you all are at. The good news is, just to go over the information, the city, we've got set aside the money we got from the feds to do our wastewater treatment plant. We have $16 million a year budget, which we only take 25% of our property tax and sales tax. So the rest is all revenue for us. So we have flexibility from a rate standpoint. Well, property taxes are an issue for all of us. And I just would suggest it might be worthwhile. But the joint session set agenda, hey, what's going on? But I would contend, to your point, there's a lot of that going on. And I know it's not getting taxed. And I just had a look at a property the other day. It's not too far from here. It's an ag property, it's getting taxed on ag, there's a huge amount of improvements on it. And I'm a guy in my house, and everyone knows where I live. My tax bill's all public information, I pay $15,000 a year just on my house. Okay, there are people who own ag property paying $200 and they have a $350,000 house and they're paying $300. So it's probably worthwhile to come close to.
Well, these people that are moving out here came from somewhere and they're building beautiful homes. They're not getting a tax bill and they're going, what, catch me if you can? Knowing that we're not on top of it, so they're just gonna let it ride.
We're not going back. So we know the house has been sitting there 5 years. Do we just start taxing for that first year?
You could, you do have the ability to do that, because I've checked on that. What we generally do is just tax it when we discover it at that point, just to be, not to, just to keep the screaming down, but.
But that's
yes,
only
you
one
could. You
person.
could go all the way, I think you can go back 3 years, you can go back 20 years. So, I mean, this kind of ties back to our collection side too, guys. I think you're gonna see me back in here. I think we've got to stop I agree with Mr. Stevenson that we need to get all of us in the room with our one attorney, not 2 attorneys, 2 different firms, one firm, and start holding them accountable for why we're not going after 5-year tax delinquencies or 10 years or whatever it might be. So yeah, I'll tell you, and I'm on the association of our properties owners association and our property in Riau County. And apparently our property owners association didn't pay its tax bill on February 1st. It's a small amount. But the tax collector actually called me on the phone and said, hey, I see you're the new treasurer of the POA. I just want to let you know, you guys owe us, I don't know, $400 in taxes. It's like, thanks for telling us. I didn't even know we owed the taxes. So so I'm not saying you have time to call 5,000 people, but little stuff like, I don't know. Got to figure out a way to make it, because the system's broken. Anyway, back to the issue at hand. The quick and dirty, guys, is I'll just take it out of TCF, balance the budget, and move on. Do you want to do leases? Because my feeling is I'd just soon not take any more cash out of savings for depreciating
Leases on
the vehicles. Yeah.
the.
So
I'm all for that.
you want to go for the
Yeah.
lease idea, and then Melinda, Julie, and I will continue to crank on any ever little nickel we can find, but we're pretty down to the thin.
Yeah.
I feel like our budget's in place. I don't think there's some tricks in there. Is any of those you want to apply? Do you want to do a raises effective October 1st? Do you want to not pay the elected officials? Do you want to, I think we will be more aggressive on our collection rate. I think that's
What
a
is our
given.
actual rate historically? I think 93 is a very low estimate. I think we do better than that.
Well, when we do the tax rate calculation, we put in 93%. But when we do our budget, we last year put in 96%. They're two different animals. But when we put very conservative on the tax rate side, and last year we goosed, if you will, the collection rate, and actually came in okay. I mean, we didn't hit right at 96, but real close.
Real close.
So I think whatever she comes up with, we'll put it in at 96. That may give us $100,000 or so. So we're still. So if we said, okay, let's do the leases, let's give raises October 1st, let's pay the elected officials, and we chase the rate and the collection, and then funded whatever's left out of LATCF, we could call it a day. And of course, I'll bring it back to you for your.
Let's go that route. Is the raise, the 208,000, is that starting October 1?
Yes,
Okay,
and that includes elected officials.
right, but, okay.
And by the way, the raises are only on the county portion of someone's pay. So if they're getting a county pay and they're getting SB 22 from the state supplement, the raise is not on the supplement, it's on the, so it's all on everybody's baseline salary.
Does the supplement go down if the county portion goes up? Because
No.
isn't it to get it to a floor?
No.
Good to know.
Like my raise, if I were to take it, is on my salary, not on my judge's supplement
Mhm.
that the state gives me. So the 208 will get 208 or close will get us taking care of everybody.
Seems to me people are concerned will voice an opinion. This meeting is public. I mean,
Yes,
it's
it is.
not just here, but it's online.
It's being broadcast to the world.
Well, yeah, and so I mean, maybe the public awareness that, hey, we're cutting this as far as we can. What part of the numbers don't you understand? You want roads, you want bridges. There's, here's the reality. And
Jim, you touch on a good point that we talked about a little bit, that the other counties, or many counties in our area, or their tax rates are higher.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that.
Then, yeah, and so maybe a public service announcement by the judge would say, what more can you do?
We're
If you're full of good ideas, yeah.
Well, I gotta tell you, you guys know this, but it's a Byzantine
Yes.
system of how how many people know about de minimis voter approval rate and no new revenue?
Mhm.
I certainly didn't until I came into this job.
Yeah.
I just paid my taxes, you know, and then bitched about it. So, and there's a whole town hall, so I think, I'm not sure, so we shouldn't have some town hall meetings and talk about, frankly, what our issues are.
Yeah.
And let people, you know what, there's lots of good ideas out there. We may be missing some of it.
Well, you mentioned Kerrville earlier and what happened there. We've got flood control or flood zone 100-year floodplain maps that haven't been published. And a lot of our infrastructure is in floodplains. And what are we doing to protect those? I mean, I look at the map I have, which is unofficial, and the water treatment is at risk. The sheriff's office and the jail are in the middle of a floodplain, as is this courthouse.
All of downtown is.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, yeah, you're talking about Kerrville getting wiped out.
Yeah, no, I agree. The other issue is, do you want to do something about road and bridge? Do you want to, I mean, while we're yanking money out of savings, we might as well just close our eyes and.
Well,
But
they need it.
they need
It
it.
needs it.
Now that we have rain, I'm getting calls saying, well, why isn't the county maintaining the shoulders?
Well, I mean,
Mow.
Need to mow.
Yeah,
the number one thing I'm gonna get hit with is, you know, you gave the county employees a raise. And, you know, you're in a deficit.
all 10 of them
And give
for
them a
a
job
huge county.
application.
Yeah.
You know where I'm coming from. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. The public, you know, you see that at the national and state level, it's like, got a raise. You still can't make it work. Job, you know. So there's a cynicism about it, and I appreciate that. It's the life we chose in public service, but
Yeah. We put the target on our back.
get ready, it's coming. So it's fair.
Well, I guess the.
And look, I'm not saying that employees don't deserve, I mean, they're working their butts off.
Yeah, I think everybody's working their butts off, but I think you know, when you look at the people out in the community that are going to object, there are people out there working hard at a job and they're not getting raises. So.
All right, well, I'm gonna proceed then. We'll continue to grind this down to the nub. And I'm going to work off the assumption we do want to lease. And wherever we end up with, and you guys will see this before we do it, I'm not gonna just bring you the final. I'm gonna fill it with LATCF. And I'm gonna put 250 in the road and bridge.
I mean, we need workers and equipment, both. Yeah.
And materials.
And materials, yeah.
All right, so the items are on the table are our 96% collection rate. No increase to the M&O above the voter approval rate. Elected officials included, raises effective October 1st. We got the inmate taken care of and the balance is LATCF. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And the bake sale is this Saturday.
What am I making?
We're gonna have a car wash bake sale.
Are you gonna wear a bikini?
No, that would be very unattractive, but I will be out there. All elected officials must attend and wash cars and bake and bring baked goods for sale.
I like baking. I'll do that part.
We probably should just wash cars one day. Elected official car wash.
What you do is you give a free car wash to get people to pledge how many cars you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we used to do that in softball, you remember? And
Oh,
because people,
also-
McDonald's go, oh yeah, we'll give $50 a car. I'm like, well, we did 100 cars.
Yeah.
And then people will be mad you're wasting water.
Oh, I know.
All right. Anything else from the courts this morning? I'm real pleased the budget process is right on track. Now we're getting close to having to post all these notices in the mail. So
We need to do,
they'll be able to have us some good news on
is this just
Friday.
FYI, or do we need to do anything on that?
Nothing to do with right now.
So the new values, well, that's what came up,
Yes.
that's what has showed up to 16 million?
Yeah, 16 million, which is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, well, I know.
Better than previous years, if I'm not mistaken.
It's better.
Those are the official tax assessments.
Previous years, we had years where the value actually went down and it was like, that doesn't make sense.
And the next meeting is,
Next meeting is next Tuesday, a regular meeting. No, excuse me, another special meeting. So we may not have one next Tuesday, but I wouldn't count on that. I think we're gonna probably need to come back in here, because I think by next Tuesday, I'll have her numbers. And I can see what we're doing at 96% and then see how much we're gonna have to take out of LATCF. I'm hoping by next Tuesday, we got the first, sort of the early time. Because then I gotta present it to the county clerk and we gotta put it in the paper and.
Yeah, we want to make sure the newspaper ads are on time. That can be tricky.
All right, I'm gonna entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
My second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, this court's now adjourned. Thank you all.